It looks incredible, and like I wanted to highlight because this is comparing his best to his best. Now, sure, it's 2 years or maybe a little more, but like that's impressive gains. Like you're
Yeah.
muscular, you're fuller, you can see the muscle maturity. Yeah, and it really goes to show the consistency and the hard work compounding over time.
Well, and the steroids too.
Oh, yes, of course, right?
My
Yeah.
wife was reading your post and she said you're getting grilled about using steroids. I was busy.
Yeah,
So,
it
Yeah,
is what it
right.
is. I mean, not
mm,
unexpected.
right. Like,
Well, what annoys me is that's where we went first. The
yeah.
first comment is immediately, "Oh, how much are your steroids per month?" You know, yeah, I've never hid the fact that I'm enhanced. I've been taking TRT since December of 2020.
Yeah.
I've never hid that fact. I don't care.
So,
I
Welcome to the
mean, let,
Total Fitness Bodybuilding Podcast with Lee Hayward and Jeff Samataro. Since 1997, Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding has been online helping guys to build muscle, lose fat, and become the best version of themselves. The goal of this podcast is to provide you with real-world practical fitness and nutrition advice to look your best, improve your health, and feel confident in your own skin, so you can live life to the fullest without having your body holding you back from doing the things you want to do. So if you're ready to get started, let's jump into the show.
I know we posted those pictures of you, or I did, the cable crossover before and after,
yeah,
and that really shocked me. And the reason why I wanted to share that, and I mentioned to you in Messenger, is that is your best compared to your best, right?
yeah,
It's not a before and after like a lot of typical before and afters where people slouch and stick out their belly, and then in the after they're pumped and the right lighting. Like you were trying to look your best in the first cable crossover picture,
right,
and vice
right.
versa. So it's a true comparison of gains. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I did, the Thursday and Friday we upped the carbs. I ate carbs at every meal just to
Hmm.
see how my body reacted for Saturday, and I was surprised by the difference. Much fuller looking at because of the water and whatnot.
But yeah,
Really good, Mike.
oh,
Yeah,
it looks incredible, and like
Yeah.
that's I wanted to highlight because this is comparing his best to his best. Now, sure, it's 2 years or maybe a little more, but like that's impressive gains. Like you're
yeah.
muscular, you're fuller, you can see the muscle maturity.
John was really happy with that picture. I mean,
Good, good.
he commented several times, and of course he posted that same one as well, and
Nice.
I have as well. But
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's impressive, right? Yeah, and it really goes to show the consistency and the hard work compounding over time.
well, and the steroids too.
Oh, yes, of course, right?
My
Yeah.
wife was reading your post and she said you're getting grilled about using steroids. I was busy.
Yeah,
So,
it
Yeah,
is what it
right.
is. I mean, not
mm,
unexpected.
right. Like,
Well, what annoys me is that's where we went first. The
yeah,
first comment is immediately, "Oh, how much are your steroids per month?" You know, yeah, I've never hid the fact that I'm enhanced. I've been taking TRT since December of 2020.
yeah.
I've never hid that fact. I don't care. I mean, let's face it. I'm 61 years old. Some parts of your body don't work like they used to.
And I mean, let's just talk about that. I mean, because it's a legit topic, right? And especially for our group here, a lot of people who have no experience with hormones and hormone replacement therapy or just full on performance enhancement therapy, they don't realize how it works. Because, yes, it does make a difference. I mean, don't get me wrong, it makes a difference, absolutely. But
Right.
it's not as big of a difference as people think it's going to make. Like a lot of people think, well, if I just took what you're taking, I'm going to look what you look like. I mean, and no, I can tell you right off the bat, there's a lot of guys, I mean, guys who've even came through this program who either were on TRT or some of them were just full on abusing steroids that they got from the black markets and, doing full on cycles and they look like shit, right? I mean, I don't want to mention any names, but if I posted their pictures, you wouldn't think they stepped foot in a gym in their life. Like they're overweight, they got gut and man boobs, and they're thinking that because I'm injecting this, I'm going to look ripped and jacked. And
Right.
then when that doesn't happen, oh, I'm a TRT non-responder or something like that. Like there was literally a guy in that comment, and this is his thing. We had messenger messages back and forth, and he full on admitted that he has used not just TRT, but steroids and full cycles and stuff. And he says, "Well, I'm a non-responder because I didn't become ripped and jacked." Like, it's not the hormones help, but they're not going to do the work for you. And I'll give you an example that we can relate to. I mean, right now the Tour de France is on, right? It just started yesterday. And in the Tour de France, I was watching some videos and they say the cheapest bicycle in the Tour de France is around $15,000 Canadian.
Oh,
That's the cheap, low end, bottom of the barrel teams. They're riding $15,000 bicycles. So, I mean, it's got all the latest tech. It's carbon fiber, it's ultralight, it's aero, and like all the bells and whistles, electronic gears, and the bike is amazing. Sure, those bikes make a difference to those riders. Like if they went to Walmart and got a $200 bike versus their $20,000 bike, it's going to make a difference. But if you give someone who's not a cyclist a $15,000 bike, they're not going to be able to compete in the Tour de France because they got a $15,000 bicycle. And vice versa, you could switch it around and you could have a Tour de France pro on a shitty $200 Walmart bike and crush somebody who's a shitty cyclist on a $15,000 super bike. Yes, it makes a difference, but it makes a difference to the person who's going to apply it and utilize it. So the hormones, if someone's going to train and eat and do all the things that they need to maximize those hormones, yeah, they're going to get better results from it. But if you think you're going to sit on your duff and just inject something and watch the muscles come, you're sadly mistaken. It's not going to
well,
happen.
and I tried to respond, even though I tended to get a little bit snotty with it, which whatever, to educate people. That's not just taking a shot. It's follow up with the doctor with your blood work every 3 months to make sure you're at the right levels. People just think that it just jacks your testosterone up. If you're doing it right, it doesn't. I went from a low range of 200, the upper 200s, which is low. I mean, anything under 300 is low, to around 750 to 900, depending on when I took my shot versus having blood work done. If
Right.
your testosterone is too high, you get a whole bunch of other problems. The biggest one that they kept telling me about the doctor is erectile dysfunction.
Ironically, yeah, you can. It works the other way too. Yeah.
Well, and see, I tend to, whatever the word is called, where it converts the testosterone into estrogen. So I had to be careful and take the pill every now and again.
Yep.
It had gone from once a week. Well, that crashed my estradiol. So the estradiol should be like in the 20s, I think 20 to something, and mine was like at 2. But here again, if you don't take that pill, then it jacks up to like 70. I think the last time I had my blood work done, it was at 70. So it was way too high. I have found out now, I have finally figured out with my blood pressure problems, if I have low blood pressure or I start feeling super, super, super tired, it's probably my estrogen is too high. But it's not just taking the shot, it's following up with the doctor every 3 months. It's the nutrition, it's the workouts, the consistent workouts. I mean, I do 2-a-day workouts. It's not just every now and again.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot more to it than just, oh, you're on steroids. And it doesn't matter if it's just testosterone or if you're taking anything out there, any other kind of a anabolic steroid. It's the same thing. If you just take the either the oral or the injection or whatever without doing anything else, you're probably not going to have much in results unless it's something that causes you to retain water.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you for sharing that, and I respect you for taking the time to respond to those comments and doing so in a to the best of your ability, because it's a very delicate topic, right? I mean, and as I mentioned, one that's so misunderstood. Like so many people think if I just took the hormones, I'm going to get the results, and no, it doesn't work that way, right?
Well, the one person thanked me for being upfront about it. I have never hidden that fact.
But that's a very mature response too, right?
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah, I've always looked at it at my age. Body parts don't work like they used to, whether it's your eyes, whether it's any other part of the body. It's just part of, and I realize there are some people that they're still able to produce appropriate testosterone levels naturally without that, regardless what age. And good for them. I'm not criticizing them for not having to. You know, I'm not, I'm jealous because you don't have to take a shot. And yeah, I'll probably be on this forever. Okay. I guess that guy, the comment about how much you pay per month for your steroids, he must be thinking I'm Liver King. It was paying 11,000 per month for steroids or whatever. No,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's 100. It's either 105 or 110 a month, and I get the prescription refilled every 2 months, and I get my blood work done every 3 months. But the monthly fee covers all of that. I have no out of pocket expenses the day I get either go in for the blood work or get the refill.
Right. Yeah, the one that's astronomical is growth hormone. Like legit growth hormone is you're into the thousands per month, depending on the
Well, and you know, growth hormone. I mean, what's the side effect of that? You get a bubble gut. I don't really want that.
no.
You know?
People discrediting hard work and thinking it's all hormones, because
Yeah.
you'll be amazed at the number of people who are using hormone replacement therapy or just flat out using steroids that they get through the black market, because you can get it online, you can get it through, you know, the the gym dealers, if you will. There's so many TRT clinics around these days. Like it's not that far of a stretch for people. It's so available. But then but to see a physique that's in shape is still pretty darn rare, even though there's more hormone replacement and underground stuff available than ever before, right?
I was suspicious with my testosterone clinic when I first went in because I
Mhm.
figured everyone that goes in walks out with a prescription,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. And they
Good.
told me I had the option. I was borderline low. I mean, I was
Mhm.
definitely on the low side, but borderline whether I would want to do it or not.
Mhm.
And I said, well, borderline, let's bring it up a little bit then.
Right.
But the two questions I get the most at a gym: how old are you, and what's your cycle? And
It's
my response to that has usually been, yes, I'm on TRT and a lot of hard work. But it's a lot more work than just, hey, you stick a needle in and you suddenly get jacked. That's just not what it is. I think they've been watching too many Marvel movies and things like that.
again, until you experience it yourself, you don't realize it, right?
Right.
And that's so true. But I
Well,
mean,
and then you also have to be
yeah.
careful exercising, because everything that I've read about it, especially with other anabolic steroids, your muscles will develop faster than the joints and ligaments.
Yeah.
So you run a real risk of tearing and pulling and things like that, because you know you feel like you can handle the heavier weight. Yeah, but the joints can't, or the ligaments and tendons can't.
It makes sense because the muscle can grow stronger and exert more force than the tendon can adapt to, right?
Right.
So that's what,
Well, a lot of bodybuilders that have died young from heart attacks, they talk about their heart being large. Well, what would you expect if you're taking HGH? The
Mhm.
heart's a muscle. Steroids, you know, other steroids are muscle. Why wouldn't your heart also grow and, you know, get enlarged? In any case, I mean, it is what it is. I don't care to say, well, I'm enhanced or whatever, but I just wish people wouldn't go there. The first question.
Yeah.
No.
You know, nobody asks, "Hey, what's your training or what's your
Right.
nutrition?" I mean, like it's just what's your cycle,
Right.
right?
Right.
And as if
That's
that's
why I kind of got a little bit snotty in my responses.
yeah,
You know, oh, it's a TRT plus all this other stuff. To me, it's a lot of fun to see what I can do. This is so different than anything I ever did growing up. So I mean, it's completely it's fun to me because it is so weird and different. And then you know, somebody I haven't seen in years will say, "Who the hell are you? You know, where'd
yeah,
this come from?"
that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. And you know, some of the things that I really want to get into talking about today is meal prep, because I'll probably take this and turn it into a, you know, parts of it and turn it into a podcast or a lesson, you know, just sharing some of our meal prep strategies. Like I'll share some of mine and we can kind of do a little round table of some things that we use to give that real world perspective on.
Yeah, I went clothes shopping and I'm a 34. I fit into 32, but tightly. So I'm a 34-inch waist on jeans. So I haven't been that since like grade 10.
Way to
So that's
go.
like amazing.
Uh-huh.
And large shirt is still doing good. Yeah, it's like I'm in uncharted territory. So that's awesome. And then we started the Lose Your Gut Challenge, which is really good. We did a fridge clean out, and the wife is all with joined up with me, and we're just doing the whole family kind of style. Yeah, for this week we took your your list here,
Oh yeah, cool.
all the foods on it, and we punched it into Chat GPT and we got him to make us a menu for the week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so we have dinners planned out and lunches planned out for the girls and my wife because they're home for the summer. My wife's a teacher. They have their lunches planned, and I'm taking leftovers from dinners. So we kind of got that all planned out, and we went shopping, broke the bank with that. It's expensive to eat healthy. It really is. It's easy to eat shitty. That's the way that everything is kind of built. They make it addicting and cheap so that you go and buy a bag of chips instead of a bag of apples or something like that. Tonight, I think we're having pork loin with roasted veggies, and yeah, it should be good. Yeah.
And I like how you're making it work with the family. Like that's a challenge, and I know that's something that a lot of people struggle with. Is like, well, how do you balance this? And the truth is,
Yeah.
you can't force somebody. You can't force somebody to get on board with your eating plan, but you can kind of do your thing, and then if somebody sees the results, they may be inspired to kind of like follow your lead or at least be better than they were before. They might not go full whole hog like in Mike's case, I know like with your contest prep dieting, I'm sure nobody's going to follow your lead exactly, but there's probably some things that are rubbing off. Like maybe, hey, I'll try and eat some more lean protein or some more, healthier options, or maybe cut back on the drinking, seeing Mike's not drinking, like little things like that. Like it's subtle. I mean, you lead by example and they'll probably follow your lead. Now it's not going to be perfect, but you'll see that happen. And I've mentioned this before, but like with Harvey, I don't put any limitations. Like if he wants to have something, like he can have it. I'm not going to say no because I want him to learn how to balance that in the real world. Because I've seen the opposite where sometimes you get the fitness health nut parents who say, "Oh, there's no junk food in our house. My kids are not eating any sweets. They're not getting soda pop. They're not getting whatever." And then as soon as the kid is old enough to get around those things outside the home or make their own decisions, then they can't control themselves. It's like, whoa, like, well, this is awesome. And then they're next thing you're slamming back, Cokes and slushies and eating candies and chips and ice cream and going the whole hog, right? Going from one extreme to the other. Whereas if they're familiar with it, they just don't make a big deal of it. Like that's the way Harvey is. And I find like a lot of times he'll have like he might have a bowl of ice cream or have an ice cream cone and he'll have half of it and say, I'm good, I don't want the rest. Like that literally the other night we had these frozen pops. It was like a popsicle, but it was pureed fruit. And he ate half of one and he's like, I don't want the rest. And he just laid it on the plate and it melted. Right? Like he's full. He had a taste of it, and it's like, yeah, that's it. I'm good. And same with the meals. Like whenever has his meal, once he says I'm full, like we don't force him. Oh, you're not allowed to leave the table until you eat everything on your plate. Like that's the way I was raised. You had to eat everything on your plate because there's kids starving in Africa, and somehow me finishing my plate is going to save Africa. I don't. Right? I'm sure we can all relate to similar stories. But I don't do that with Harvey, right? If once he says he's full, hey, that's fine. You can leave the table. I'm not going to try and force you to eat beyond your natural appetite. And the ironic thing is we were at the grocery store the other day and we're going down the aisles there and he's seeing, all the junk food, like the chips and the crackers and this and that. And he looked at it and he said, Dad, he says, I'm going to lay off the junk food. He said, and I'm going to start working out more. And he's only 8 years old, right? He's telling me that, I don't want to buy that. He says, I'm going to lay off the junk food, Dad. And I said, good for you, buddy. I mean, but again, I'm not forcing these words into him. He's just following the lead of me and his mom, right? And he's picking this up on his own. That's how you inspire your family or lead by example. You don't force it on them or crack the whip. You do you, and then they'll over time see that and follow your lead if they want to. I mean, and very often they will, but you can't force this, right? And that's one thing I really want to emphasize because We hear that a lot. Like, how do I get my wife to work out? How do I get my wife to eat healthy? How do I get my kids to do this? You can't force anybody.
Yeah, we try to give them the good option. And if
Yeah,
they don't want the good option, sometimes we'd be like, you got to have at least one bite of it. Like vegetable. You haven't eaten a vegetable all week. You can have one bite.
I like that. Just try. I mean, we kind of do something similar too, because a lot of times kids they decide whether they like it or not just based on how it looks. That vegetable doesn't look as appetizing as the cookies or the cake or so no, I don't like it. But then like, hey, we'll just try it. And then sometimes it's a surprise. They do actually like it. Scott, how's things on your end?
Yeah, it's good listening to you guys. It reminds me of I think Mike, you posted Mike Brown about something that really was good for me to because I do look for sales at the grocery store, and
Mhm.
I'll tend to like go, well, those are nuts. Nuts are not cheap, and I know they're still good for you as long as I only eat 4 almonds or whatever. But I'll get the 2-for-1 deal because it's like, but really, did I need those nuts? I mean, not really, because I know how I love nuts.
Mhm.
And it was interesting. I had a quarter cup, which is 140 calories, something like that. But I piled that up, so I know it was more than a quarter cup because nuts don't fit in that cup just perfectly. And I make these little cheats, and I know what I'm doing is I'm giving myself some permission to say you got away with something. Like I play these mind games, and it's funny how 4th of July was a big, I got invited to a family deal and the food that everybody brings. And I was like, Scott, you got to remember, you're not the general population anymore. You really are a cut above and take pride in that. You don't want to go back to, I'm better than I used to be. So I could, slough off a little bit. But
Mhm.
man, that's a slippery slope. And I know when I'm starting to kind of trend that way. And so, because of this challenge, I'm going, okay, I got to get back just the basics. Come on, Scott. And I went grocery shopping, and the meat aisle, they actually have ground chicken, 99%. So it's like less than 1% gram of fat on sale for like, you got two for $5. So that was like 250 for a whole thing of ground chicken versus the ground turkey was like $9. And the other thing is I do buy in mass quantity to save money, but man, I got to cook it up fast. I've wasted some food just by buying too much and then not planning it out to really consume it.
Mhm.
Like I have all these mandarin oranges, which hardly have any calories, and they go bad because they got too many of them. I don't know. So I got to get better at managing the food that I have so I don't waste money and let it spoil. That's one thing I learned. But the other thing I'm kind of cracking up, it's kind of like a fessing time again. You know how I was like making a big deal out of those healthy, unhealthy cookies, the Lenny, whatever those, they're expensive. They're like 420 calories, but you get 18 grams protein, but it's a ton of carbs and all that. And they taste okay. Well, I know those are like $4 a cookie or something. I don't know. They're not cheap just
Yeah.
because they say protein cookie.
Mhm.
I got a whole box of those things for $2. I was like, I can't pass this up. I gotta grab them. And so yesterday, once again, I'm like, here's a 400 calorie cookie, but it's a deal. So I'm making that as my treat. And then, I bought my energy bars, my Cliff bars, thinking I'm going to get back into cycling. I got to have a few of those. What does Scott do today? I think I'll have that like a little treat. Like, so I'm not using my food correctly right now, but all in all, I'm getting back on track. Got to the one thing I will say is even if I'm eating a little bit out of my where I want to be, I'm not missing my workouts, getting good workouts in. Like my compliance or adherence to what I need to do, I'm not hitting on all cylinders at all times. You are. So if you want to take it to the next level with TRT and all that, I have no problems with that. With me, I realize how consistent am I going to be with that when I can't even get my food consistent, my workouts consistent? That's a whole nother level. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like they say, the put your jar, if you're going to fill up a jar, put the big rocks in first. That really is at the top of the deal, because I know how much work it takes to get to the point where that's even going to make a difference. So I'm happy we've had all these discussions. I got you as an example and your work ethic and all that. And I just kind of look at the reality of where I'm at right at this moment. And I'm going, okay, I'm not a Mike yet. Maybe I never will be, but I'm not the old Scott either. So let's not go back. But it is a little bit of a nonlinear thing. But how far I want to take it is totally up to me. Anyway, that's a lot of stuff just to say I think I'm in a good space, back to the basics, and we'll see where it goes. But I have my cutoff on my weight. I'm at about I'm at 170.
Yeah.
Got to 164, but I can tell I'm my abs are starting to show a little definition, and now I'm like, oh, they're escaping me, and I've got to like tighten it up a little bit.
It's good to have that threshold. I've mentioned that before. Like that'll be your check and balance, to keep things from spiraling out of control. And unfortunately, most people don't have a threshold, or when they hit it, it's too far gone. That's
Yeah.
when I can no longer button up my pants. Like, uh-oh, now what do I do? Or, when the doctor tells you, oh, now you have high whatever, or you're diabetic, or like that's you need a threshold much lower so the alarm goes off before the shit hits the fan, right? You got to have it set better. And I just want to kind of like take things full circle here. So I know like a lot of the guys in the group, and myself included, I mean, we really respect what Mike has achieved with his fitness transformation. And I mean, I love sharing his progress in that. And you even brought it up like, oh, I'm not Mike yet, right? But Mike, is there people that you know or look up to and you're like, well, I'm not them yet, and you're kind of
Oh,
like
yeah,
same thing, like just like how Scott is looking up to you, are
absolutely.
you looking up to them and saying like, shit, I wish I was as good as so
Yep.
and so?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to just share like any?
Oh, sure. There's a guy, he took first place and I took second in the competition last year.
Yeah.
He was Mr. Georgia in 1994, 96, and he's still competing. He's competing at nationals next week. And it's like, yeah, I wish my arms were the size of his. But yeah, I mean, professional bodybuilder wise, probably not as much, because I mean, I know the massive amounts of steroids and stuff they're taking, which I don't want to do. Plus, I personally don't like the look of the mass monsters. The classic physique guys, much more to me looks, I guess, because that's what I know, like from the 1970s and 80s, 90s, early 90s bodybuilders. That until you had Dorian Yates, the huge guys, and afterward, I mean, like Nick Walker. I was talking to John yesterday about Nick Walker, and I said, I just can't decide if I like him or not. My thing about Nick, and I don't mean to cut him down, because he seems like a nice guy and all that, but he's getting ready for the Olympic. And my response to that, without even thinking, was, well, will he make it without being injured? Since the last couple of years, he gets injured.
This is who we're talking about, just if you're not familiar.
Yeah.
I think he's 30 years old, right? Like it's just insane.
Yeah. And I know last year he was injured like 10 days before the Olympia, and the year before that it was like the week of Olympia. Are you going to make it to the contest? Yeah. And he seems like a nice guy. Like when I've heard him talk, he wasn't like a super arrogant guy that offended me or anything like that. I like Bumstead, of course, but there's just a lot of the guys that are out there now, I know nothing about them. The number of pros is just crazy. I think it may be nationals next week. There's where they were so proud of the fact that they're giving out 37 pro cards. And I was talking to John the other day. When John turned pro in 1988, there were two. You had to win either the USA or you had to win nationals. That was it. Yeah. So that's why there's so many of the classic old school bodybuilders that never got the pro card. They weren't handed out like candy. And I know why they do it. We've talked about this before. Promoters get more money, the entry fees, and all of that. But yeah, there are plenty of people I see out there that it's like, yeah, boy, I wish I had that guy's arms, or his legs look really good, or hey, I'm comparable to that guy. Not quite there yet, but it gives me hope that maybe some of the guys that did the Masters Nationals last year, I looked at their pictures and I thought, well, this may be a possibility sometime.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't so far off. I mean, certainly I'm not Mr. Olympia type, that comparison, but like a national level show, I thought, what the hell, you know, why not have that as a goal in the future, in the back of my mind, you know, it just continue to work towards something. It may never happen. If it does, so what? If it doesn't, so what? You know, my life's going to go on. But yeah, there's a lot of people I see out there that definitely, it's like, God, if I could look like that. And I still have a problem looking in the mirror and not seeing the fat guy that was, you know, that didn't start working out till he's 56. I tend to find all of the flaws. So that's what that picture that John took on Wednesday, I was stunned. And there's been a couple of times where I've seen a picture, it's like, who is that? I've scrolled past and it's like, wait a minute, that was me, and not realize it. Well, I've gotten to the point where I don't say, can I do that? It's like, I can do that. I turn it around. I can do this. You know, it's not, will I be able to do it? You know, it's just like my posing is getting better because I'm determined to get it right. And it was a little trick John showed me. Slow it down. So like I was like rushing to get into the next move. And he's like, no, let me show you. And it's like he actually had more of the transition than he did the pose. And it's like, God, that looks so much better and so much more relaxed and not frantic. And I've been working on it and we're getting there. I still have another month. But, you know, it's not like, will I be able to do this? It's like, yeah, I can do this. Now, I may not get the best poser. I may get the barely adequate poser award. But, you know,
Yeah.
okay, I get it. There's just some people that are natural at it. And I'm incredibly klutzy. But I've gotten to the point where, and it's because of all of this for the past 4 years, I have tried to eliminate the word never. I will never be in a bodybuilding show, which is what I always thought. I would never be able to do that. And of course, you didn't laugh at me. John didn't laugh at me. Yeah, you can do this. And it's like, yeah, I could do this. And it was the same thing. It's like, I'll never go to law school. I ate those words. I'll never do this. I don't say that anymore. It's like, why can't I do this? Maybe not to the same level as someone, but I can get it so it's not half-assed.
Yeah.
I like challenging myself.
Yeah.
And if somebody else can do it, why can't I?
I love that attitude. And I just wanted you to share that because there's always another level. Like we're looking up to somebody, whoever it is that you're looking up to and saying, oh, gee, I wish I was like them. They're looking to somebody else and saying, oh, gee, I wish I was like them. And it keeps going, like it never ends. And then whoever is currently on the top, they're not going to stay there long.
Yeah.
Right? And there's going to be somebody else come by, right?
Well, I was floored last year at the show during the warm up and line up and all that. And this guy comes up to me. He's like my age. And so he's been following my story.
Oh, wow.
Following my story. And I don't remember. I know he's friends with John.
Yeah.
I don't think he's part of like Dad Bod or that. He's like, oh yeah, I've been following the posts, and he was so impressed with me. Turns out he's done 115 shows before, literally 115, and I'm the impressive one at my first show. Yeah. You know, I was very humbled. It was a very nice compliment, and you know, it's just unexpected. And then I thought, well, why can't I do this?
Once you change the question, I'll never do this or I can't do this, it's like, how can I do this? Or just open up the possibility.
What do I need to do to be able to do that?
What do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? Who's going to help me? Like, you know, you start looking for the solutions instead of looking for the excuses.
Well, and as I said before, I've had a lot of advantage with various things. One thing is I can afford to eat, you know, basically 2.5 pounds of chicken a day. You know, I'm eating like a package, like a family pack from Walmart. I get it. You know, some people couldn't afford that, or they can't afford to enter the show. You know, it's about $1,000 for a show, with the hotel and travel and food and tanning and photography. And so I do have a lot of advantages on my side from that standpoint. I mean, you know, I've hired coaches, multiple. I travel up to visit John. We work out, we do posing. That's more money.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't complain, well, at least to me. You know, we're going to build our own gym now. We're in the process of building our own gym now.
Investment. That's a huge investment.
Yeah, you know, so I have a lot of advantages that way.
Yeah.
but athletic ability is not one of them. I
Mhm.
mean, walking across the gym, I mean, I dropped that damn weight plate on my foot, which is quite black and blue right now.
Ooh.
And it didn't hurt until today. Today's the first day I've had pain. So what do? We just keep going on. I'm not going to sit around, oh, my foot hurts, you know.
Thanks for sharing that. Again, it really puts that things into full circle and perspective. And we even had that issue in the Lose Your Gut Challenge where one of the gentlemen who was in the group said, "Oh, I quit because I can't eat breakfast, I can't eat lunch because I'm working." And I first of all, like when that posted, I was like, "Is this for real? Like, is he being sarcastic? Like, what's on the go here?" Because it's, you know, and then I made a comment saying, "Well, I don't think you need to be unemployed in order to find time to have breakfast and lunch. You know, I think you can probably make it work." And then I said, "Let's just do a little survey." I said, "In the comments below, let me know if you have a job and you somehow find time to eat, right? Have your breakfast, have your lunch." And then, of course, everybody's saying, "Oh, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm working 40 hours, 50 hours. I'm working this and that, and I still make it work. I still get to the gym. I still meal prep. I still whatever." So like there was all these real world examples, and of course, Mike, you chimed in and gave some great examples as well. Shortly thereafter, like the guy literally like left the group, gone.
No, he had actually left right at the very beginning. I don't know if you had even posted your comment yet when he
Oh,
left.
okay, maybe he did.
Yeah.
Maybe he left right
But I
away.
had seen his comment. He had commented several times, maybe Thursday, it was before it started.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Or he had put on this weight, he wanted to lose it. I
Mhm.
totally understand all that. And he made the comment that he doesn't have access to a refrigerator or a
Right.
and sometimes a microwave, but not. And I didn't respond with my suggestions that I ultimately responded with because we hadn't started the thing yet.
Right.
But I'm apparently Facebook friends with him, which I did not realize. But he
Oh,
posted a similar comment on his personal page because I went back and looked at his personal page weeks ago and said about that, you know, he'll start a diet and he might last a week. And he
yeah.
said, oh, and sometimes I don't make it past the first day because Sally and I were sitting here, I was reading the comments and we were like, he didn't even make it to the first day
Right.
or through the first day.
Yeah.
And like somebody else said, it's all about choices. As I'm,
Yeah.
you know, I learned from precision nutrition. I schedule my workouts. That's the first thing that goes on the calendar, so we know when my workouts will happen, and then we set the doctor's appointments and
Mm-hmm.
you know, everything around that as best we can. So then we don't miss the workout or have that excuse of I can't work out today because I have to go to the doctor, you know, or whatever.
Right. So you do the opposite of what most people do. Like, well, I'm going to do everything else first. And then at the end of the day, if there's time to work out, I may go to the gym. Whereas, like, no, the workouts,
Yeah,
that's first. And then I'm going to put everything that else around that, like the appointments, the grocery
right.
shop,
And
errands.
sometimes that means I have to get up, you know, an hour earlier or
Mhm.
2 hours earlier, which doesn't thrill me, but to get it done. Same with travel, whether I'm traveling up to the lake or this week I'm going to a dog show where I'm going to be out away from home for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you know, I've posted before about getting searched at the airport, my lunch bag, but I take my meals,
Yeah.
whether it's a lunch bag or whether it's a big cooler. Electric lunchbox is wonderful. I also, and here again, it helps that I can afford it. We'll stay at a residence inn that has a kitchen so I can cook. But everything I can do to keep me on track.
But that's such a contrast, you know, the hardcore. Like I could see someone who's having a hard time joining because I can get it, you know, where just starting is the hardest thing because you have all these fears and I've tried a million things. It's gonna be one more thing. And if they're gonna make it too hard for me, I don't want to look like an idiot,
Yeah.
screw up. And I can see where it's easy to back out, but man, taking the courage just to stay in there.
Well, and at this point, you know, I get it. This diet's not for everyone, nor would I expect it to be. But not everyone's getting ready to do a show in 4 weeks. You know,
Well, for
it's a
you,
very specific goal.
yeah, I mean,
Second, and
well, I
then
was thinking about when you first started back when you were really overweight to be where you're at now. That's like a hope thing. Like, you know, really, that's the story that has to really be
yeah.
told. You know,
Well,
you're a whole different human being, the way you
I
think
grew
and
up that
everything.
way. I was never the skinny person. I've always been chubby
Right.
and
Yeah.
sometimes fat, depending on.
This eating chicken and bodybuilding diet. Like this, you didn't start with that. Like this is
no.
gradual
And I
change
get it. It's not
over
for
years.
and nor would I expect it to be. Not everyone's getting ready to walk on stage wearing next to nothing on their body.
Yes.
I totally get that. And of course, when I started out, I wasn't eating this way either. We already know I did carnivore for a while. Then it was, a much better, well-balanced meal, but it wasn't as limited as it is right now.
I mean, my mind could not conceive of being as disciplined for 3 years, because that's where my brain will go. Like, wait, you've been doing it for how long? Oh, I'll never do that. So you don't even get started hardly.
But my strict diet has only been, we're 4 weeks out, so probably 8 weeks ago, about 12 weeks. So I was still eating. Yes, I was eating a lot of chicken. So I had a little bit more variety. But, we went on the cruise right after the show, and I ate what I wanted to. And I gained 10 pounds on the cruise. So what? I lost it.
When you started, though, was there a shift in your mindset, or were you always pretty much gung-ho from the start and knew you'd stay that way, or?
Not as gung-ho as now. I guess it's the one benefit of being obsessive compulsive is like carnivore to me was very easy. Okay, I'm having a roast for dinner. I'm having hamburgers for dinner. I'm having 2 pounds of steak for dinner. I knew that, maybe not exactly what the meal was, but I knew it was meat. I didn't have to do a whole lot of planning. So then it was like you would buy stuff. Hey, look, there's pork roast on sale at the grocery store. So I'd buy 2 or 3 of those on sale, and that's a couple of dinners. I have never been a big cheater. So when people have to have their cheat day or whatever, that really, well, I shouldn't say that. The first year when I had the big bag of toffee, I learned very quickly what happened after that. So that taught me a lesson that, I have to keep that under control. Same with alcohol. I had to keep that under control, or that's going to be a problem. And like I said, I like the taste of alcohol. I didn't care about being high. I just like the flavor. So, I haven't had any now since probably Christmas. Various things were harder to give up than others. Alcohol was one. Not to imply that I was alcoholic or anything like that, but if I had a drink, I liked it. Sugar, most definitely. Sugar was a killer. And somebody, I think it was the same guy that dropped out, that he made a comment that sugar was almost like a cocaine for him. That if he had a little bit, he had to have a little bit more. And that's exactly the way I was. That's why I ate that damn bag of toffee. It's because I hadn't had anything sweet in something like 10 months. And it's like, ooh, I kind of like that. Let me have just a little bit more. Oh, it won't hurt. And then you realize that you've eaten the whole pound. The same with ice cream. That's why we don't keep ice cream in the house. The sweetness is what I liked. So, now I still have, zero sugar soda, usually something flavored like Dr. Pepper versus Coke or Coke Zero. And that gives me the fake sweetness. Salt, I haven't had anything real salty lately, but although I have discovered lightly salted rice cakes every now and again is a nice little salt treat. I have had to add salt to my diet a little bit, because that's one of the things, when I wake up in the morning, like this morning, my blood pressure was 104 over 55 or something. So it was low. So I mixed some Himalayan pink salt in with my egg white, and I felt okay today after that. So it's all those little things. But I'm the kind of person, if I'm going to get over sugar, we have to get rid of the crap in the house, at least for a couple of weeks, until I break that habit and, basically detox, if you will. Because it would take me about a month. Like after having the toffee, it took me about a month to get back on track.
You really learned how you respond to things.
And that's how I learned that I have a salt intolerance. Yeah. And I put a lot of water just from drinking the pickle juice. It was delicious.
Yeah.
But that's how I found out, because I did that, a pickle has 0 calories, so it doesn't break your fast when you're doing intermittent fasting. So I drank the juice because somebody suggested, because of the electrolytes. So I drank the whole thing and literally overnight gained 10 pounds from the water.
So your wife helps you with not letting stuff be around the house. Like I saw Lee's post with all the cookies and the treats for the kids, and I'm kind of like, was that your post, Lee, today? And then you chose to eat something else, or was that someone else's post?
That was Cliff's post.
The Cliff's post, yeah.
No, not anymore. When I first started this, yes. And I won't even say that we didn't buy it. It was just we put it in a cabinet in a different place.
Gotcha.
So I didn't see it. And now there's stuff in the cabinet. Every now and again, there's some. My wife has to eat gluten-free now. There's some gluten-free crackers that are kind of tasty, and I'll have a handful of those every now and again, or a rice cake or two. For the most part, we don't have a whole lot of junk around.
I'm so bad. I'm the guy that wants to say, I think I can get Mike to eat something bad. I think I can do it. Like, I'm always the antagonist.
No, well, you could try.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I would never do it because I don't use the word never. But on the cruise after the show, since my goal had been met, yeah, I'd walk through the lounge and look at those cookies. Don't those look good? Hey, there's a chocolate chip.
Right.
Or a raisin. The raisin was kind of healthy. So let's go back.
See, what it is you make me mad because what I want to do is get you to say, oh, it's okay to eat something like that. So I can give myself an excuse to say, well, if Mike does it, I can do it.
Well,
but you're really strong and you stick to your guns. And I'm like, dang it.
But here again, I'm getting ready for a show now. So yes, back in November, the show was done on that cruise for 2 weeks. Yeah. And they had these little wonderful white chocolate balls about this big. They were damn good. And the problem with that is, 4 of them fit in your hand just nicely as you walk through. So you would tend to walk through the lounge more than you thought you would have to.
Yeah.
I didn't have any alcohol. I think I had a glass of champagne, and it hit me hard, just one glass. So I didn't have any more on the ship. That didn't stop me from having the chocolate or the cookies or another one. I had some gelato or ice cream or something. I had dessert every night, but I chose the no sugar option. The nice part about going on a cruise, even though there's all that food, is if you eat in the main dining room, they portion it out for you. So you get like what a true size is, like a true size portion, not like what you get at Olive Garden or other restaurants here in the States where they just heap your plate full. And then you realize, wow, that wasn't very much food, but I'm full. So yeah, there are a few cheats out there, not right now, but back then. And like I said, August 3rd, who knows what's going to happen? Probably a brownie or a cookie or something. And I'll probably take a week off and then have to get back to it because I can't gain a bunch of weight and a bunch of body fat if I'm competing again in October.
But having those little releases, it breaks up the monotony of thinking like I got to be on this diet forever. Like you have that, okay, we're going on a cruise, I'm going to enjoy myself, and you get those cravings satisfied.
Sure.
And then it just releases the pressure, and then you can get back and start again. Like I have that regularly, like times where I'll release the pressure, if you will, so like you don't feel like you're on the diet.
Well, and it's tough too, because I will say there has to be some self-control and some self-discipline. Like up at the lake, when we go up there, not now since the show's coming up, but like last summer, when I still had 16 weeks before a show, there's ice cream.
Right.
I had ice cream. I had a tablespoon, like a soup spoon size, and that was enough. I got the sweet, and then I put it back in the freezer. Or if there's a package of cookies, I would have a cookie. But like I said, that release just to have that little bit of sweetness or something different, but not to eat the entire package, which I could do that. I mean, that's like Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints. I mean, what is one serving? One sleeve of cookies? That's another good thing about being retired. I don't have that opportunity because, as I said before, I would graze from candy bowl to candy bowl on people's desks, walking around the floor, because people always had candy out.
No, this is good stuff. And one thing that I really want to kind of like finish off with now is some real world meal prep strategies. Like getting back to the gentleman who posted on the Lose Your Gut challenge group saying he couldn't do the challenge because he couldn't meal prep for breakfast or lunch. We messaged back and forth. I invited him to rejoin the group again, so he's back in our group again. Now, whether anything happens, I have no idea, but I'm giving him a second chance, right? Like I don't want him to self-sabotage and give up on himself, and hopefully take it upon himself now to make some changes here. But we'll see what happens. But just for the benefit of everybody now, I just really want to cover some practical meal prep strategies and letting go of the mindset that, oh, I need to have a fully equipped kitchen. I need to have a fridge. I need to have a microwave. I need to have this. And if I don't have that, well, I just don't eat, or I'll eat whatever's in the cafeteria, whatever's in the vending machine, I'll drive through. Like people have this all or nothing mentality. Like it has to be perfect, a fully stocked kitchen, or screw it, I'm eating anything or nothing. Like it's the all or nothing trap, and we got to let go of that and really focus on how can we make it better than it was before. And I'm just going to share, like back in my early days when I was going to college, I used to pack my food. I mean, I was doing bodybuilding shows back when I was in college, and I remember one of the things I did is like every morning I'd get up. I always did an hour of cardio first thing in the morning, and then I'd come home and I'd make my food for the day. Like I'd have my breakfast, which is usually some sort of like egg whites and oatmeal or something along those lines for breakfast. And then for my midday meals throughout school, I used to put a bunch of chicken breasts on the George Foreman grill. So I'd grill up a bunch of chicken breasts. I used to take a bunch of potatoes, bake them in the microwave oven. So like 10 minutes in the microwave, I'd have baked potatoes. And that was my meal for in between each class. I would have a chicken breast and a baked potato. Right now, they were small baked potatoes, one of the big giant ones, but usually like a small potato. I just put that in Ziploc bags, like a chicken breast and a potato in a Ziploc bag, and I threw it in my knapsack. Like there was no refrigeration, there was no nothing. It was just that and a bottle of water, right? Like Mike there, right? Ziploc bag, like literally that was
With
my
12 ounces.
right meal prep. And people say, "Well, I don't have a fridge, I don't have a microwave." I'd be in the middle of class, right? And people caught on to it after a while, like, oh, Lee's having these chicken and spuds, right? Here I would in class now with my Ziploc bag and chewing on a chicken breast and chewing on a baked potato. And I did that probably 3 times throughout the day, in between classes or sometimes during the class, depending on my schedule. But it was like clockwork, oatmeal egg whites in the morning, chicken and potato, 3 times a day. And then I'd come home and I'd do my workout and then I'd have dinner. Usually dinner was with the family because I was living at home with mom and dad at the time, but I'd always have like a protein and a vegetable type meal. And then in the evening, it might have been like a protein shake or some cottage cheese or some source of protein in the evening and then start all over again. But I had no fridge, no microwave, and I still made it work. I mean, you don't have to overthink this stuff. And that's something that pisses me off is people, oh, I can't eat healthy because I don't have a fridge or I don't have a microwave. I either have to do one or the other. And this guy in the challenge, his solution was, well, I'm just not going to eat anything, right? If I don't eat anything, then that's the best thing to do. Well, you don't become 300 pounds by not eating anything. So, yes, you're not eating anything all day, but what's happening is that hunger and that low blood sugar is building all day long while you're in this intermittent fasting. And then once you come home and you start eating, it's like opening up the floodgates and then you'll eat anything and everything. And it's so easy to justify making poor choices when you haven't eaten anything all day. Like, hey, I deserve to have that pizza. I didn't eat anything all day. I deserve to eat that bag of potato chips or order fast food or takeout or whatever. Like, after all, I didn't eat anything all day. And ironically, most people who are overweight intermittent fast and they do so thinking that they're doing themselves good. Like I can like friends, family, neighbors, I know so many people who brag about, oh, I don't eat breakfast, I don't eat lunch. Yeah, and you're 50 pounds overweight, good for you. Right, but they eat like shit in the nighttime. Right, then once they start eating, then it's everything and anything for dinner, then it's the potato chips, then it's the cookies and the sweets and then some people say, well, I don't eat anything all day, but then they graze the candy bowl or they're having coffee with cream and sugar. But that doesn't count because it's not a sit down to the table meal, even though they're spiking their blood sugar with all these empty calories all day long and not counting it. Right. So, you got to look at the bigger picture. And that's why I'm not a fan of intermittent fasting. With that being said, some people do make it work who truly track everything and whatever. I mean, yeah, you can make it work. Like Mike lost a ton of weight intermittent fasting, but that's more of the outlier than the rule because a lot of people who intermittent fast actually sabotage themselves long term because they end up justifying poor choices when they do eat. Right, that feeding window turns into a garbage disposal window where they're just eating anything and everything. So I'm not a fan of intermittent fasting. That's why in the Lose Your Gut Challenge, one of the things we focus on is like get your 3 squares in. Have your 3 squares and then get some high protein snacks in between. Focus on feeding the body and nourishing it on the cellular level and staying ahead of the appetite curve. Eating before you're ravenous. Because when you eat in advance, like don't wait till I'm starving. Oh my God, like I got to eat something. If you can be ahead of that curve, you can make much more rational decisions. Like when you're not that hungry, it's easy to make a healthy meal or it's easy to choose good foods. It's easy to eat slow and to savor your food. Whereas when you're starving, you just got to woof it in, right? Like you're like it's like a survival instinct almost kicks in. But if you can stay ahead of that curve, it's so much easier to make better choices. And it takes the stress out of it. Then you go through the day and like, I'm not even hungry, right? Like I'm eating healthy, I'm losing weight, I'm feeling good, I'm getting in better shape, and I don't even feel hungry because you're staying ahead of the hunger curve. You're always like one step ahead versus trying to operate one step behind. You always feel like you're falling behind, which is the way most people approach their diet. Like they don't even think about eating until they're starving, and then they're making rash shiz and just like they're all over the place.
I don't know if you
That
remember, Lee, when I first joined up, that's what I was doing was intermittent fasting. And,
yeah.
I wasn't going crazy at nights and it was working for me because I lost quite a bit of weight. But then you had given me the meal structure and the plan. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do breakfast. I'll give it a go and get used to it. And after doing it for a while here, it's like great. I love, sitting down, having a breakfast, then at like 10 or 11 o'clock, having another meal. And then around like 3 o'clock, have a snack. And then dinner time around 5:30. It's just, it's way better. You feel better and you're not as hungry throughout the day. And I'm not as grumpy, my wife says.
And you're losing weight, which
And
is the
yeah,
goal, right?
and I'm achieving my goals doing it too,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And it's way more enjoyable because when I was doing the intermittent fasting for a long time, it was a brutally hard thing mentally to accomplish. And especially to keep it under control when you have your feeding window or your hours that you're allowed to eat. It was hard because I'd have one plate of food and I'd look at everything else that was available and I'm like, the willpower was really tough to keep it in check. It's 100% right what you were saying that like the floodgates would open if you had a bad day or something. Oh, there's a freezer full of ice cream. There's popsicles. There's donuts. Everything's available at your fingertips, and you just have to be weak in that moment, and then it's gone, and you just wrecked your whole day's progress or days of progress. That's my experience with that, and just wanted to share it.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that. And one thing, like we'll even back up a bit. You did lose weight initially with intermittent fasting, and any type of calorie restriction does work, right? Like I don't want people to think intermittent fasting doesn't work or cutting carbs doesn't work or carnivore or keto or vegan or whatever. Like it all can work, but you got to look at the bigger picture. Like if you're eating whatever the heck you want, no structure, no rhyme or reason, you're just like the average person, you're hungry, you eat, you don't care what it is. Whatever the family cooks, whatever is on the menu at the restaurant, whatever I feel like I eat. And then you go to some sort of structure, be that intermittent fasting or carb restriction or whatever. I mean, that initial change, that there's probably going to be a calorie restriction in there. Like if you eat fewer meals, most likely you're going to eat fewer calories. But once your body adapts to that change and it senses, okay, there's fewer calories coming in. Yeah, we're dropping weight. What happens is your body starts to get attuned to this, and okay, I go all day as long as I stay busy and slam back some black coffee or whatever, keep myself busy and keep the appetite suppressed. I can function all day without eating. But then once you start eating in your feeding window, like I say, you open up the floodgates, and then what you'll find, and this was my experience with intermittent fasting is my meals and the volume of food I ate within my window got bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where I was no longer in a deficit. I was in a maintenance. And even though I was intermittent fasting and only eating 1 or 2 meals a day, the weight stayed stuck. And then when I was honest with myself and looking at what I'm eating, like I'm eating a lot of crap, right? There's food here that yes, I'm intermittent fasting because I'm justifying, well, as long as it's in your feeding window, it's all good to go. And and then I go back for second helpings without even thinking about it, and grazing and whatever the kids got left on their plate. Well, hey, I'm not going to throw that away. I mean, I'm going to eat that too. And right. And, oh, hey, Harvey left a bowl of goldfish crackers there. Well, I'm not going to throw those out. I'll have those.
I find that really difficult as well, like because I have a 3-year-old here, and
Yeah.
when it's like, oh, I made craft dinner, and she ate half her plate or a plate and a half, and there's half a
Yeah.
plate of craft dinner, and I have to make those choices. Like, I am not going to eat that. I am going to give it to the dog or something, but I'm not going to eat it.
I mean, if you really want to be, penny pinching here and not throw it out, I mean, well, save it for leftovers, right? Maybe they'll have it the next day. I know some foods are not palatable leftover, but you try to make the best decision here and realize if I eat that, how much time do I have to spend on the treadmill or doing cardio to burn that off? Is it really worth it? Right? So it may or may not be. But that's a good point to share because getting back to it, like when you do start intermittent fasting or whatever, you'll probably see initial results, right? Like Mike did intermittent fasting, got results. I mean, we probably all tried it to some degree at some point. I did. I got great results initially, but it hits the threshold where it plateaus. And then it was only when I started eating more frequently and focusing on nourishing the body, not just depriving it, that I actually took things to the next level. One of the biggest drawbacks with intermittent fasting, and you talk to any fitness expert, this is probably universal across the board. It's so hard to nourish your body with intermittent fasting. Like very few people are going to hit their protein target with 1 or 2 meals a day. And even if you do, it's not optimal. Like you're going to sit down and eat 200 grams of protein in a single meal. Like, and that's just like sitting on your gut and your body's trying to break that down instead of having like 4 or 5 servings of 40 to 50 grams of protein. Like it's so much easier to digest frequent smaller servings than just one mass lump.
Not
And
to mention your energy levels throughout the daily are also really low. And it was
yeah,
tough to do my workouts when I was doing that. It was really hard.
sure.
And my performance was not nearly as good as it is now.
And even in athletics, I mean, that's one of the key things that has been a game changer in modern day sports is the whole idea of nutrition, like fueling the activity levels, pre-workout nutrition, intra-workout nutrition, not just starving themselves. Like, that you need to fuel the machine. It's like if you had $1 million racehorse, are you going to starve it and hope it runs fast? Like, no, yeah, I'm going to starve this horse and hopefully it's going to win the race. Like, no, you want to do whatever you can to nourish that horse, train it, rest it, have it function at its best. Or like same thing, having a high performance sports car. Well, I'm just going to put, crappy fuel, or I'm not going to put enough fuel. Have it run out of gas halfway down the racetrack. Right? Like, what's the point of that? So we really need to focus on nourishing the body and fueling it and not just starving and depriving, which unfortunately in our weight loss focused culture, in our Ozempic, Manjaro, semi-glutide world we live in, everyone's starve, deprive, deplete. That has limitations. I mean, there's the short-term benefit, but long-term limitations. Yeah.
Your meal structure is really like a lifestyle like approach instead of just like I'm going to cram for 3 months and then it's going to be
Mhm.
everything's out the window from there, And I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that.
Good.
So
I appreciate you for saying that. And I've done the cramming, right, with the bodybuilding competitions in the past, like the all or nothing approach, where like, hey, I'm going to starve myself for this show, and then after the show, I'm going to eat whatever hell I want. Right? You know, you got to have that lifestyle approach, not this going on a diet approach. But yeah, thanks for sharing that, Andy. And so like that's kind of like an overview of some of the meal prep strategies that I've used. Now, I'll be totally transparent. I work from home now, so I have the convenience of most of my meals. I can get them at home. So I do have access to a kitchen, right? So that's pretty cool. But even then, a lot of my meals are very fast food oriented. Like I've shared before, my default lunch these days is a bag of pre-made salad with a grilled chicken breast chopped up and thrown in with it. Like it literally takes me like 60 seconds. Like Andy's showing one there now. It takes me like 60 seconds to make lunch. So I mean, it's quicker for me to do that than it is to heat up a frozen pizza. Like I can make a chicken salad in less time than it takes to get a frozen pizza. But people will justify me putting a frozen pizza in the oven and waiting 15 minutes or whatever it takes to cook a frozen pizza, but they won't justify 60 seconds to make a chicken salad.
It's really nice having my wife support it. And because like she's just prepping veggies right here and a whole bowl of veggies for dinner, like it makes a difference having all the support in the household, but also the community here as well.
This is the missing link, right? It really is having like people where you can have these conversations. I mean, obviously it's nice to have support at home, but even just having a group like this where you can be open and transparent and just share and have people pull you up to a higher level versus friends and family and neighbors and coworkers. Hey, come on, have a drink, have a cake, have a whatever. I brought in donuts. I brought in like right? Have people who can pull you up, not pull you down.
One thing that I think that's worth mentioning is I think a lot of people are afraid to cook. They think that cooking is difficult. It's easier to open a package of like hamburger helper. They don't realize that to do something from scratch doesn't take that long, especially once you have done it a few times. You can do a cookie sheet or a pan or whatever of chicken breast in the oven for the week, and have them done already. And here again, the same with potatoes. You could do in the microwave. My wife cuts up sweet potatoes, so I have sweet potatoes ready to go. And like I said, with my meals right now, I'm putting them into bags and marking what the quantity is. But like when I travel, I take my Ziploc bags of chicken, or I have some plastic containers I bought off of Amazon. Those little dishes with the lids. The other thing is I try to figure out what kitchen utensils make everything easy. I have a Ninja grill. It has different settings on it. It has a grill, it has an air fryer, whatever. I just bought the new version. It's the Ninja Crispy. It's their new version of an air fryer that cooks in glass dishes. Okay. And it holds 4 chicken breasts perfectly and does a damn good job. And the whole thing nests together in one stack. So that's going in the car with me on Friday to the dog show, and I will have something that I can cook with in the hotel room. And there's a stove and all that in a Residence Inn, but they don't have an oven. This will take care of that. So anything like that I can figure out that I can do ahead or conveniently or whatever. I don't do a week's worth of meal prep anymore because it's just easy for me to cook my 4 pieces of chicken the night before. Or like today was rest day, so I cooked it when I got up this morning. But I'll do the next day, so it's always ready. If you have prepped the food, then your meal choice is super easy. You don't have to, what am I going to have today for lunch? It's already ready to go. My chicken, I never heat the chicken up. I eat cold chicken. That doesn't bother me. The air fried's nice because it's crispy on the outside. I do heat up the rice and the sweet potato that I would have with that, but the chicken by itself, that didn't have to be refrigerated, or microwaved or whatever. The other thing that I had posted on my picture on the Lose Your Gut Challenge, we have always planned meals by the week. Originally, it was not so much from a let's eat healthy standpoint. It was a convenience standpoint. So we can make a grocery list, go to the store. We're not wandering around. What are we going to get? Go in, get what we need, and get out. But what we have found is when you have your meals planned and you have a very specific grocery list, you're not looking, hey, look at that bag of candy that's on sale, or whatever. You're much more focused on getting that done. And yeah, you don't have to stick, because you plan a meal on Monday doesn't mean you have to have it on Monday. You can have it later in the week. But that way I know what food I have in the house. It's not grazing in the cabinet or the freezer or the refrigerator trying to find something that we have.
Also plan leftovers.
Yeah, and planning leftovers. My wife said just now too, is we know we're cooking this roast or the turkey at Thanksgiving. We know that's going to be left over. So let's plan to use that versus throwing it away later on. And like I said, if you have the free delivery on groceries, that's nice because you're not even going in the store. You're not looking around. So we can keep focused on what we actually have. I hate going to the grocery store when either we're hungry or we don't know what we need, because that's when we tend to get into trouble and buy, oh, look at that, I haven't had that flavor before. Well, that's a new cookie. I wonder what those taste like. Oh, look, it's a different flavor of Oreo, the special Oreo cookie.
Yeah.
The watermelon interior one, those were gross. So I would not recommend those. But some of the other ones have been damn tasty.
I
And
take offense now because that's me. I know. I'm
Well,
looking for sales.
but that's yeah, I get that. But at least right now, where I'm focusing on August 2nd, I don't need that distraction, if you will.
My favorite thing to make are these protein pancakes, especially on Sundays, because they're great for snacking. Do you put them in the fridge or do you freeze them? Are they still good for leftovers or are they pretty nasty? Like, can you throw them in the toaster oven or?
We freeze ours, and we just have a bunch in the freezer, and they toast up in the toaster like no problem. They're
Really?
pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just usually eat them all because I still have that like eat everything on your plate. So I make one blender full and then I never have leftovers.
Now
I'm thinking about prepping for those because those are good snack type deals.
I bought one of those things for making egg bites. It looks like almost like a waffle iron, but it's got little cups for the eggs in it. And I've tried refrigerating those and I've tried freezing them, and they tend to be a bit watery the next day, like condensation in the bag. I still ate them, and they were done ahead of time. They were good for the car. So like if I wanted, like driving to the lake, if I want to leave early in the morning, I had my breakfast mostly done. Between my hamburger and my egg whites, the only thing I could cook is the oatmeal, and I could do that ahead of time if I wanted. I probably put them in the freezer versus the refrigerator,
But you can even buy the protein pancakes already made and frozen. Like Premier sells them. I don't know if you've seen them before. Here they are, right? Protein. We bought them from Costco before, and I mean they're pretty good. You know, you can pop them either heat them up in the oven or heat them up in the microwave or whatever. But they taste pretty good. It's 10 grams of protein per pancakes. I mean, it's not super high. Like there we are. It's 19 grams of carbs, 10 grams of protein. Right?
Yeah.
It's a better ratio than a typical pancake, but those are frozen. And so, I mean, I can't see why you couldn't make your own protein pancakes and just freeze them.
Right.
Like, just put them in a Ziploc bag, and that's what retains the moisture, and freeze it, and it should be fine. And now, if you're having it the next day, I don't see anything wrong with like leaving it overnight or something. But if you're going to leave it for longer than a day, I would definitely freeze it.
I'm trying to come up with solutions because I'm still having the problem of, for convenience when I travel, of those crazy protein bars. I'm eating those like now I'm farting all the time. I mean, I just too much of that stuff. And I think I could make like in the air fryer like little chicken fingers maybe, not frying, I just got to get more disciplined with whole foods. I'll take any advice. Yeah.
And I mean, like Mike shared some good advice, and even like just grill up some chicken. I mean, like back what I did when I was in college, like literally, I used to just put the chicken breasts on the George Foreman grill and microwave potatoes.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't take long. It's like 10, 15 minutes. You got your day's worth of food cooked, right?
True. It's
well,
true.
in the air fryer, you don't have to coat them,
Yeah.
and you don't have to use any oil.
Right. No, that's the best thing.
Yeah.
That's helped me with vegetables, except for leftover vegetables that are pretty soggy. I think what's happened is I moved a little bit away from being really healthy with my choices, and now I'm starting to crave a little bit of that other stuff. I got to get back to when vegetables really taste good.
Yeah.
Like when I stayed away from all that, my body desired more healthy food just naturally.
That's a good point, Scott. And Mike will be able to appreciate this for sure. When you get deep into a fat loss diet and you're really zoned in, it's amazing what you will eat and how good food tastes. Like prime example, when if I'm on an aggressive fat loss diet, I'll eat like sugar-free Jello, and that's a great treat, right? Because it's sweet and it's filling and it's no calories or very few trace amounts of calories. But if I'm not on a diet, I have no desire to eat sugar-free Jello. Like I don't put that crap in front of me. But if I'm on a diet, oh, I'll devour sugar-free Jello. And it's just amazing like what your body craves stuff. And another one that I used to do like when I was deep into a diet, like just get fresh mushrooms and hot sauce, and like put hot sauce over the mushrooms, and I just chew on that. Like I might have a handful of mushrooms and hot sauce, or even mustard or something like that. Just on, but if I'm not on a calorie restricted diet, like the thought of just sitting down eating mushrooms, like freak no, I'm not gonna eat this. So I mean, your palate and that changes, and your motivation to eat those food changes depending on what phase you are. Like if you're in an aggressive fat loss diet, you are much more motivated and willing to eat different foods to fill the void, if you will. Whereas if you're not on that calorie restricted diet, you're going to make the more uh, you know, the flexible choices, which may not be the best choices, if you will, right?
What I found lately, what I've been craving is hummus with vegetables because it's extra protein.
Mhm.
And like I was never a fan of that, and the wife always had it around. So I tried it one day with garlic hummus, and I was like, "This is actually really good." And then plus, I'm eating a couple ounces of hummus and like a huge bag of vegetables. Like
Right.
it's extra protein. It's pretty good and pretty decent for calorie wise.
Yeah, and you're getting your veggies. I mean, look at all the nutrient dense veggies you're getting. So like it's ironic, people who are not on a diet per se, they eat a very bland, limited foods. Like they're eating the same stuff over and over again. Like they'll eat the same burger and fries, pizza, ice cream, like the same French fries and whatever. Like that's a common thing I've seen. Like a lot of times, people who say, "Oh, I'm a very picky eater. I only like a few things," and it's usually a few things of junk food, but they'll eat the same 15 or so foods over and over again. Whereas people who are more health conscious, like you're looking outside the box, like what can I eat? And prime example, like veggies and hummus. I mean, before you started your fitness journey, the thought of veggies and hummus, like hell no, that's not even on the radar, right? But you're looking for that now.
Yeah, and now it's like a treat. You have it in the house, and you're like, "It's perfect."
Okay, so you broaden your spectrum of food choices, and you're more willing to try things. Like go to the produce section, say, "Hey, I never tried that vegetable before. I never tried this before." And different types of meats and fish and what like foods that you probably normally would never try. Now you're open to it. So it actually, people think you're restricted when you're on a quote unquote diet, but ironically, you will actually eat more variety. I've found over the years as well, like I have to have a goal or something that I'm working towards. That's what keeps me, that's the North Star, if you will. Like if there's no goal, then it's hard to stay focused. And I even noticed this, like when I was doing my original muscle after 40 transformation. I remember when I started it, I took my before pictures, which I was disgusted with. I was 38. And I said, 40's coming up pretty damn soon. I said, I want to have muscle after 40. And I also, in the back of my mind, was saying, you know what? 40 is the age when you can do masters bodybuilding, and it'd be cool to do a comeback in masters bodybuilding. So, like, that was in the back of my mind, but I never ever, like, set a date or put it out loud and told people I'm going to do a comeback in bodybuilding. But it was in my mind. So, like, there was like that helped to motivate me to want to train more, thinking, I'm going to do a bodybuilding show. But I didn't put it out there. Like I didn't plaster it all over social media, like, oh, I'm going to do a bodybuilding show someday. And then, of course, when the pandemic hit, that put the brakes on everything. So then it even delayed it more. But it was still in the back of my mind. I'm still want to do that Masters bodybuilding show and do the comeback, right? So that really guided me and motivated me to do all the things that I know I should do. And then once I did that bodybuilding show, I mean, I enjoyed the journey much more than I did the stage. And not that I don't enjoy the stage or whatever, but it's just like that was my 15th show, and I was surrounded by a lot of new people. And it was just like, I know I'm not going to be a pro bodybuilder. And like, I felt like I've been here, I've done that. Like it was anticlimactic, if you will. Like I was on stage and yeah, it was cool, but I don't feel that excitement or the enthusiasm of all the new people who are backstage, and you can tell they're all giddy and excited. Like I don't have that, right? It wasn't there.
Yeah.
I just was there, and I mean, I enjoyed the experience and that, but it wasn't. where I'm doing cycling, and that's new to me, and I'm still making progress with it. I still have that giddy newness to it, if you will, right? Which I enjoy now. But that's my thing now, and I find that if I don't have something that I'm working towards, it's so easy to just flounder and stay in a plateau. Like, you know,
And it's got to be like, especially if you've been good at something, and
yeah,
people, as you get older, people around you are getting better at whatever you think you were good at. But so what's helped me with you guys is like thinking a little more longer term, and I've got these chunks on the way. So I'm 67. So if I could have something when I'm 70 that I've never done before, like maybe get on stage, but it kind of freaks me out. But I got 3 years to think about it. Or the other thing is like, and you guys know this, I don't, kind of weird, but I could really get better at really dancing better if I really put my mind to it, get that posture up, and be very confident, because I'm still kind of just old mandish with that for fun. But what can I do that? But if I compare myself with others that are just natural at all that, gymnasts and all that are pretty good in that area, I'll start comparing and get all frustrated. So I've got to figure out how not to compare, but other than myself to myself. But I
mhm,
like the idea of goals that are a little bit longer term, so that I actually meet the real goal, and that's adherence throughout the pursuit, because I've never really pursued anything long enough without at some point going, well, this is never going to really work long term. Somehow that's in the back of my brain. I can do 3 months. I can do, like, this
mhm,
is the longest I've gone, what, a year almost now,
yeah.
where I'm not getting fat again, or getting depressed and changing my behaviors to the worse. So I know it's a mental thing or some psycho weird thing about me, but this kind of stuff is helpful to see you guys where you've come from to where you're at now and where you're still headed. Because that's what I want, is to keep staying with the journey. Not saying, oh, I did that back in the day. I had 6 packs back in the day, because I can say
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but and
And
you're
then
right. Getting a
so
goal that's you think is like, that's gonna make my life better, is not true. I've had abs before that were a lot easier to get back in the day. It's harder now. I don't know, like, really? Come on.
but what you're saying there, I mean, it's all the real thing, right? I mean, this is legit stuff, and I can appreciate that from back in my bodybuilding days. Because yeah, I would diet down for the show, and I'd be in shape for a few months, and then I'd just blow it because like the goal was done, like contest done, check. And it's so easy to just let it go and then try and justify, well, I'm bulking up to try and get bigger, right? And so I never maintain abdominal definition long term, right? And it's also I had that all or nothing approach. Well, if I can't be shredded, then screw it. I'm going to be fat or I'm going to bulk, right? If I can't be like this idea of being good enough,
Yeah.
that's a hard one to take, because once you've been in peak shape, then once you start to slide a little bit, it's like, oh, frig it, and being okay with that. And I still struggle with it. That's a challenge for me now, because I mean I'm not as lean as I've been in the past, but at the same time I'm not fat and sloppy, and I gotta be comfortable with that. And just to be totally transparent, I actually shot this photo today, right? Here's a photo of me today. I mean, I'm not as lean as I've been in the past, but I can still see the outline of my abs. And I'm like, I have to be okay with that. Now, if I posted that on social media as a fitness coach, people say, "Oh, you're a bit fluffy and blah blah blah. You're not as lean as you used to be, or you're not as muscular as you used to be," and yada yada. And it's true. No, I'm not. But it's not as bad as I used to be either, right? Because it's been, the one extreme to the other. Like I've had times when I've been shredded, and there's been times when I've been, gut sticking out further than the chest, and everything in between. So like being okay with not at my peak, right? Like,
Yeah, I think being comfortable at a space where you can get back to something if you want, without a long time period to get there. maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, without the extreme, oh, I got to lose 50 pounds or
There's
something.
something crazy. Yeah. I don't ever want to go back to that. And
No.
You know what? I'm just sitting here listening to this. It just made me realize how important this group is, because all of us have been doing this a year and longer, and we're having these concerns. Could you imagine people that are just coming on board, or that are like in the Lose Your Gut challenge, that are just starting out and what they're thinking? You know, and here we are talking about, hey, we all have these feelings, we have these same problems that we had 5 years ago and 10 years ago and however many years ago, but we're here to support each other. And I wish that more people that are part of the VIP group would actually tune in. Maybe they're watching the replay. I don't know.
Some of them do catch the replay pretty religiously, like Clifton. He participates in our, like he messages me too. Like he says, I really appreciate these replays, right?
Yeah,
because I think it's
probably a lot of people that do that, but it just seems. I mean, I'm here, and it's just because I may learn something that I hadn't thought about, or hear somebody else and, hey, that's a good idea. You know, it's not like being in the Lose Your Gut challenge. I don't need to lose my gut. I don't have that anymore. But you know, so that's why I had to put that long post so people aren't saying, "What the hell is he doing here?"
Right.
Having all these same problems and feelings that we're having now, you can imagine that somebody, for example, the gentleman that dropped out, that had gained, he's almost like 300 pounds. You know, you can imagine what kind of self-doubt and questions and things he has, that, you know, he could hear us saying, well, we have the same, we're the same boat. We feel the same way. We just look differently than you do. You know,
well, I felt the pressure to have to be in the challenge because of you guys, and I'm like, oh man, I better be in the challenge because everybody else is, which is good. I just got to think of what vegetable I'm going to put on my head. That's the only thing I'm.
Yeah, I haven't figured that out yet either. Probably a sweet potato.
I think it's a good time to just refocus and just get right back into it.
Yeah,
because we've been doing it for a while, so it'll be good.
When I always hear things that I've forgotten, had thought about, or somebody else has a suggestion, or they have a question, hey, what about? Like, oh, that's a good question. You know,
every time you go through it, I mean, I'm me hosting it. I mean, I'll either relearn something that I've forgot about, or I'll learn something at a deeper level.
Yeah.
Or you're ready to hear something that you weren't ready to hear about before. Like I noticed that even with precision nutrition, like sometimes I'm going through it and like I'll understand the lesson, but it doesn't really resonate. And then when I go through it again, it's like now that I can relate to that because I'm at a different stage of my fitness journey, and that really resonates with me at this stage of the game. Whereas when I first heard it, it intellectually made sense, but I wasn't at that stage to really absorb it and utilize it. This journey, I mean, sure, it's the same shit over and over again as eat right and exercise. Like, just summarized every fitness book out there. There's so many layers to it, like peeling back the layers of the onion. And what we're talking about now, a lot of it is the mental layer, right? It's not the calories, macros, and workout split layer. It's the mental and the stress layer and being okay with different phases. Like after Mike does his series of bodybuilding shows, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to get a bit fluffy again. Like you're not going to be in this calorie deficit forever. And that's going to be a bit of a mental hit, especially like you're used to looking at yourself in the mirror and getting leaner, leaner, leaner. And then you're going to be looking in the mirror and saying, I'm getting fatter, fatter, fatter.
Oh shit, where the abs go?
Right? You know, this six pack is getting softer. You know, the cuts are getting blurrier. Like what's on the go here? Right?
But it's interesting hearing the questions that people come up with in the Lose Your Gut challenge. Things I would never have thought was a problem. Like the guy that dropped out that's back that said he didn't have access to a refrigerator or microwave. I would never have thought about that being, I don't want to say an excuse, but a reason to say I'm not going to have breakfast or lunch or whatever.
Even crossed my mind.
I'm not going to miss my food. But just things that I would not have thought of as being a problem or a roadblock to doing what I'm doing. He has found it to be. And it's just like, it makes you appreciate what other people may be going through, which I try not to say, oh, look at me, because I don't want them to think that that's what they have to look like after 5 days of a challenge, because obviously that's not going to happen. But if I can inspire somebody, especially some old fart like me to do it.
Yeah, the not having a refrigerator, I don't understand that one.
Yeah.
I take my lunchbox every day. There's ice packs in it. I carry my food in it.
Well, he even said
That's the way it is.
He even said about taking a lunch bag with ice packs.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what most people do.
Yeah.
Every
And-
construction worker who's ever worked on a construction site, that's the way they do theirs.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's such a roadblock, but
Right.
The first time I did this, which was a few years back, it was like going, all right, what kind of money is he really going to want out of me? And how long do I have to do this to get to the real program that really works? You know, like you got all sorts of reasons to not do this. So I don't even think the reason really is the reason. I think he was just
Yeah.
scared, you know,
Well,
and
certainly, I think some people will find any reason to say, I can't work out because,
yeah.
Like
you know?
at the final straw when I'm working, so I can't eat breakfast and lunch. I'm out. Like
Yeah.
you're working. Like good for you. I hope you're working or you're doing something like right. But
And I
like
assume that he's required to get a lunch period.
I would think so.
right,
That's
I mean,
law.
I realize
So.
he's from Canada. I don't know if there's
no, we're allowed
laws
to,
up there that then let you work 24/7 or what.
Canada, you're supposed to have a lunch break after 4 hours of work. So, so
we've messaged back and forth, but like again, I invited him back to the challenge,
Yeah.
and he couldn't follow the Lose Your Gut challenge guidelines, but he could bring bologna sandwiches for his lunch at work. And said, well, we just got to swap the bologna sandwiches for some other options. Like you're already packing your lunch for work anyway. Like, you don't become 300 pounds by not eating. You're eating something.
What
Yes.
is he actually eating? You know, are you eating healthy food or are you eating prepackaged crapola?
Right.
You
I
know?
gotta share this, guys. We can finish it up after this, but this was something I just seen on Instagram the other day, and I saved it, and it really drives home a lot of the challenges that people have. Like so often you hear people say, "Well, I'm only eating 1,000 calories a day. Why am I not losing weight?" Or "I got a slow metabolism. That's why I can't lose weight." And I seen this video. Right?
Slow metabolism. I've tried every diet under the sun over the years. Nothing seems to have worked. And so I just must conclude that is because of my metabolism.
We asked Debbie to have her metabolic rate checked. Debbie is put under a ventilation hood 12 hours after her last meal. The researchers can now measure how fast her body burns up calories when it's at rest.
And I looked at the data from today's experiment. It's almost spot on what the predicted,
What it should be.
What it should be.
So I haven't got a slow metabolism.
No.
It's quite
In her diaries, Debbie records eating well under 2,000 calories a day.
When you did your diary on the video for her, about 1,100 calories. That's how many you've recorded that you've eaten.
Oh, bloody hell, yeah, okay.
But remember that doubly labelled water. It reveals that Debbie, in fact, ate 3,000 calories a day.
I'm normal, which is good to hear in one way, but not in another. I'd carried around this myth all my life that I might have something called a slow metabolism. It sounded so romantic, and clearly that's not the case for me and for many large people. It's just not true. We're normal.
I mean, can you relate to that, or have you heard similar stories to that? I'm only eating 1,000 calories a day. I have a slow metabolism, but then let's check your metabolic rate. No,
Yeah.
your metabolism's fine. Let's actually track your calories. No, that 1,000 is actually 3,000.
Well, and that's one thing I discovered when I first started tracking food
Mm-hmm.
is you have to track everything that you put in your mouth.
Yeah.
Was there a sauce? How much of that did salad dressing? How much salad dressing did you put on? A lot of people will track only what they think they're eating. They're not tracking the sauce that went into it or the package of seasoning mix or something like that. I found that out with like ketchup and mustard and hot sauce and stuff like that. That it may be carb free, but there's still calories.
Yeah.
Or that sort of thing. And it's tough. I will say when I was tracking all of my food, it was tough to make sure I was putting everything down. So I would put something, I would eat something and then think, oh, I'll track that later. It's like, oh crap, I forgot to log that. And it's usually the condiment, butter type thing, or like we've talked about with peanut butter, thinking that I'm getting my 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, but you don't actually measure it with a tablespoon. So maybe you're getting more or you don't weigh it or whatever. That's why I got into the habit of weighing everything because I knew I couldn't trust myself to count it as 2 tablespoons and it's really not.
I can't say anything to an obese person because they'll immediately defend themselves if they see me. and I know that, but I mean, I was talking to my realtor because at one point I was selling the house. She's pretty big, and she goes, "Man, you look great, but oh, I've been told that I just don't eat. I don't eat enough. That's my problem." I went, I kept my mouth shut, but I'm like,
Right.
but
Well,
when someone's like, they don't
enough-
want to hear anything, you know?
or enough of the healthy food,
Yeah.
Yeah,
or enough protein.
Yes, there's enough of the right stuff. Yeah. But
yeah.
and like Mike, you made a great point. Like most people are not tracking everything. They're tracking the big things and forgetting a lot of the little things. And then one common one that I've seen a lot of guys do is like, I'm only eating 1,000 calories a day or whatever their number is. And I look at their Fitness Pal log because if someone uses my Fitness Pal, I say like add me as a friend so I can actually track your diary, and then I'll see entry, entry, entry. So it might be like 1,000 calories, 1,000 calories, 1,000 calories, then blank, 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 and then it starts 1,000 calories again. And like, well, what happened on those blank days? So you didn't eat anything on those days, or was it just so bad that we don't want to record it? And when they finally admit it, it's well, that was the day of the all-you-can-eat buffet, or that was the day of the family dinner, or that was the day of I didn't know what the macros were because I was at a family dinner. Doesn't mean you didn't eat anything, right? So sure, yeah, you might literally have a few 1,000 calorie days in there, maybe, but then there's a few multi-1,000 calorie days that are canceling out those deficits. One guy I mentioned earlier, right, that was his thing. He was always like, I'm only eating 1,000 calories a day. Why am I 275 pounds? I'm only eating 1,000 calories a day. Yeah, I don't think that's the math doesn't add up here, right?
But that's the problem with North America is we don't teach people how to eat. Like no one ever learns. Like
No.
I was watching a thing on Japan, and in schools they teach kids how to eat, what's proper nutrition. Apparently in Japan, if you're overweight, your company can get fined. There's a fat clause or something in Japan that if you're overweight, your company gets fined. Like, yeah, North America is just we don't teach anybody, and fast food is just there, and chips are there, candy. It's like we do things really wrong.
Was that a YouTube video that you watched?
I think so.
I
Oh,
think I've seen that in my feed as well about something about Japan and their.
Yeah, the fat law or something.
I'm going to find that and share the link to our group because it's just a culture thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, and they say they're not afraid to go and tell you you're fat. They'll walk up to you and say you're fat. And
Right.
that's just them, trying to tell you got a problem. Like, can't do that in North America. You get sent to the boss's office.
they'll sue you.
You can't fat shame anybody. Hell no.
Yeah, I think Paul Miller was talking about that law at one point a while back.
Paul used to live in Japan.
Yeah.
These early days.
But I recall him saying something. I don't remember all the details, but I recall him saying something about that.
Yeah.
I did see a video the other day where they were weighing people, and it was all in Japan. They would come to your door and basically weigh you, try to get on the scale.
Yeah, I think it was something about walking that the video was about. And they went into the, how much they walk in Japan and what they eat, and they're taught how to eat.
One thing I've noticed when I've been to Vancouver a few times for business trips and stuff like that, like there's a huge Asian community in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I noticed like you go downtown Vancouver and walk around, like you don't see overweight people. It's very rare. Now, I'm not saying that they're not there, but when I was like just walking around the streets and doing my day-to-day thing in the city there, most people were like of average or slender. Like it was fascinating to see because normally when I'm around home, I'm just seeing blimps, right? But I was just myself and my dad were up there a few years ago, and that's one thing we noticed. We're just like, wow, like there's no fat people here, or very few. Like this is crazy. It was almost refreshing to see. And even the eating foods, like that video, I know they were talking about like a lot of the fast food that they have in convenience stores and vending machines. I mean, they per capita, Japan has more vending machines than anywhere in the world, but it's healthy food in there, and portions to a normal size portion. And like it's not just cakes and cookies and chips and crap like that. It was actually like real food, that they would have as their fast food stuff, and totally different culture. But I too bad we couldn't implement some of that. But here in our don't ruffle any feathers, it's a weird one for sure. But yeah, I mean, this was a great call, guys. I mean, I really appreciate you for sharing.
I got pork tenderloin with
yum.
veggies.
It's supper time.
That's a good portion size right there, Andy. Yeah, that ought to work.
That would be my one meal a day back in the day.
Yeah, really, Mike? Wow.
It would be. Anyway, guys, again, thanks for jumping on the call and sharing, and we'll keep our conversations going through the Facebook group. All right, take care and enjoy that.
Have a good week.
Enjoy your tenderloin.
Yeah. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Podcast. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And if you would like some help with your own personal fitness and fat loss journey, be that building muscle, losing fat, improving your health, getting in your best shape, if you would like some help with that, please feel free to reach out to me. You know, I have my contact information down in the show notes below this video, and we can have a chat and see if the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program would be a good fit for you. Right? You can come on board and join our VIP group, just like the guys you've seen in the podcast today, and you can be part of this community and having that support and accountability to make sure that you're on the right track to making your fitness goals a reality. If that sounds like something you're interested in, then feel free to reach out to me. And in the meantime, have yourself a fantastic day, and I look forward to chatting to you next week in another episode of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Podcast. Take care, over and out.